Welcome, 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 ladies and gentlemen. We are now live. This is the very first live video stream of the Sports Frenzy podcast. We are doing our 2018 NFL Draft live as the draft is going on right now. I want to say welcome to being the very first live guest on our YouTube channel. Joey, welcome, Joey.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Anytime. So let's jump into this. It's been a crazy. We've got 6 picks so far. First 6, they're not what you think, ladies and gentlemen. These picks have been up and down. The first couple, all right, we get it. Cleveland at 4 has shocked the world and surprised everyone. So let's just jump into it. Number 1, Baker Mayfield.
I mean, I like Baker Mayfield. I think he's a good QB. Obviously, to be drafted number 1, you have to have the talent. I just don't think. I think they could have gotten Baker at another junction in the draft, but obviously they feel that he's the QB for them.
I don't think Baker would have dropped more than 3. The Jets were very high on him, and I think if they wanted Baker, they had to take him at 1. I don't think 4 would have been good for him.
Yeah, I could definitely see where you're coming from. I mean, we've gotten on him the past couple years for skipping on quarterbacks, whether it was Deshaun Watson, Carson Wentz. So at least they got their guy this year, and we'll see how it pans out. I was more surprised with their 4th pick when they passed up on Bradley Chubb, who some have rated as the best defensive player in the draft, to go after Denzel Ward, the cornerback from Ohio State.
That was bananas. Extremely crazy. No one expected it. Everybody was, all right, they're taking Chubbs. That's what it's going to be. They take the cornerback from Ohio State, Denzel Ward. I didn't see it coming.
I definitely didn't see it coming. I was banging on the table saying Bradley Chubb was going to go.
You did call that they were going to do something very brownish and completely throw everybody off.
I guess defensive back. I guess the wrong defensive back, but I did guess defensive back. And actually, I don't know if you're seeing what I'm seeing, but it looks like Buffalo traded up to the 7th spot.
Buffalo is on the clock. My Bills are on the clock at number 7. I don't know what they're doing. I hope they didn't give up too much, but they're on the clock. So let's just run these down before Buffalo comes in and picks. Saquon at 2 to the Giants. Good pickup, but they have no one.
I mean, listen, Saquon Barkley, he's great. He's a great running back. He's going to most likely do great things for them. I just feel like they don't have a line. I know they picked up Nate Solder in the offseason, but I still think the other tackle position is going to be a huge problem. And they got to see if Eli can bounce back, because if he can't bounce back, there's going to be a stacked box every time he goes to run the ball, and I don't care who you are. If there's...
You're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
You're just not going to
There's no holes. There's nowhere to run, and that'll be that. So you guys, the Bills acquired the 7th overall pick from the Buccaneers, and the man, the myth, the legend, Adam Schefter is here reporting on it. Yes?
Let's just... Before we fully jump into this, Sam Darnold to the Jets. We got a QB backlog there now. McCown, Bridgewater, Darnold.
Yeah, but it's the Jets. They can carry 5 into the regular season. They can play each a quarter.
They'll somehow screw it up. Bradley Chubbs to join Von Miller.
Shane Ray. Shaq Barrett.
Derek Wolfe. Crazy stacked O-line.
They've got pass rushers.
It's not your Eagles O-line, but it's a good O-line.
We're not going to go there right now. We're at the bottom of the draft. Let's concentrate on the Bills pick, which is in now. So let's see.
The Bills pick is in. Who do we got coming to Buffalo?
Punter.
With the 7th pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the Buffalo Bills select Josh Allen.
There we go.
All right. He looks a little like Jim Kelly.
That suit has got to go.
The suit is horrible, but it's a good pickup for the Bills. He's a bit of a project. I'm all right with it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm all right with Josh Allen.
You guys had Nate Peterman start some games last year. You should be okay with Josh Allen
I'm
starting.
okay with Josh Allen. So, and the pick before this one was Quentin Nelson going to Indianapolis. Finally giving
Andrew Luck some protection. He's been running.
He's been running wild.
He's been running since his rookie year. I don't think he stopped. So you finally got somebody up there to help solidify that line. I mean, he still hasn't thrown a football yet, so it's cool that they have the protection there. It'd be better if they actually could get him on the field.
If he could actually get on the field and throw.
So we'll see how that goes. But yes, the Buffalo Bills, they finally have a quarterback.
Josh Allen, I'm all right with it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm okay. All right, so now we've got our next four are in. We've got, after Buffalo's trade with Tampa Bay, Buffalo gave up 2 2s, but still held on to that second number one pick.
Which so I know you're excited about, so that's good.
I'm very happy about that. I thought we'd have to give up, both ones, or at least trade 1-1, give up the other one, and at least 2 2s or a 2 and a 3, something like that. I'm glad we kept that second.
As a true friend, I was hoping they took it off from you, but that's okay. That's okay. You guys did good. You guys finally moved up, but right after that, the Chicago Bears went and took Roquan Smith, the linebacker out of Georgia.
That's a good pickup for them because they were kind of weak at linebacker. He's physical specimen out of Georgia. That defense was outstanding last year.
All you had to do was watch the first half of that national championship game to know that defense definitely comes to ball.
Was real life. And then we had San Francisco stay put, no trades there, and they got Mike McGlinchey, tackle from Notre Dame.
Yep.
Which is great for Jimmy Garoppolo. He gets more help on that offensive line for protection. Also with their running back pickup in the offseason, it's going to create some holes. It's going to give them a lot of help.
Yeah, I know McKinnon, like you said, McKinnon, the running back, he's definitely happy about that. And you got to think, they just gave over $100 million to what they hope is their franchise quarterback. They got to do their best to protect them, or else they're going to end up in the same position the Colts are ending up in, and they're still waiting for the quarterback to come back. So they're doing the best they can to keep him on the field.
In his words, he still has not picked up the Duke to throw it.
At all.
So that is a big red flag there for Indy. All right, next one we had a trade there with Oakland and Arizona. Arizona traded their 1, right? I believe it was their 1, their 2, and a 5.
Yeah, I'd have to look that one up, but
we'll confirm with you guys later on in the episode. But that's what they gave up, and Arizona moved up and got Josh Rosen, who fell all the way to 10, still in the first round. This is the first year in history that we got 1, 2, 3, 4 quarterbacks went in the first round.
And, there's a potential for, I think, at least 2 more to go. You got Lamar Jackson, which the Patriots supposedly are interested in. And I could see somebody, if they like Mason Rudolph enough, moving up into the tail end of the first round and maybe get him so they can have the 5th-year option.
Something like that. The Giants need another quarterback to replace Eli at some point. And then we got the Miami Dolphins picking up Minka Fitzpatrick, cornerback/safety from Alabama. Big pickup. That is also a big pickup. We've got the live stream of the draft. Vita Vea.
See now that see the
monster.
neck wear. I appreciate that.
Monster Samoan defensive tackle. This big boy can run, and I don't think
him and Gerald McCoy on the same line.
Gerald McCoy. Tampa Bay hasn't had an elite pass rusher since Warren Sapp in the early days of that defense, and I think this.
And they kind of won back then. They did some things.
That was a pretty big deal back then.
Won a Super Bowl. So
our boy Warren Sapp from the U,
of course.
Big pickup. Vita Vea just went number 12 to Tampa Bay.
Yep.
That was the trade with the Bills.
I mean, they get the top-rated defensive tackle, and they were able to take some of your picks, the Buffalo Bills picks, and they still got who I would probably assume they were going to try and get at that position earlier. So anytime you can move back and still get the player that you were targeting to begin with, I mean,
it's big.
You've actually seen a couple teams so far take advantage of that. A couple teams move back, such as Indianapolis, like you said earlier. They move back, acquired picks from the Jets so that the Jets can move up, and then they go and they get their guard that they were looking for.
All right, so now a couple more picks are in. Let's see what we got. We got number 13, Washington, De'Aaron Payne, big defensive lineman from Alabama that we all know Alabama's defense, Nick Saban. Very good pickup for Washington. They needed help on that D-line.
Yeah, I mean, once Hankins was out, their run defense really struggled, and then they've been on a run with Alabama players. I don't know, maybe they have the Saban pipeline now, but they went Washington twice last year, I believe, in the first round, if I'm not mistaken, or first and second round, and now they hit another Alabama player up on their defense, which you watch college football, I watch college football, you guys watch college football.
Right.
He's a beast. Anybody on Alabama's defense usually pans out quite well.
And then especially in that division, you got to keep up with the Joneses and try to fortify that defensive line.
Wonder who you could be talking about.
Your Eagles have probably the best defensive line in all of football.
And if you think about it, now that the Giants have Saquon Barkley, we have a stable of running backs, and the Cowboys have Zeke Elliott back there, you need to be able to stop the run in that division, or you don't stand much of a chance. So I think it was a good pickup by Washington. And then to kind of continue the pattern of a crazy first round, the Saints went ahead and traded up, to the Green Bay Packers spot to select a defensive end, Marcus Davenport.
Which, second-rated defensive end in this draft, behind Bradley Chubb.
Yeah.
New Orleans gave up their 27th. They swapped first-round picks with Green Bay. They gave up their 5th this year and their 1st next year.
Which I thought, I mean, you saw me, I wrote it in pen. I thought they were moving up to get their quarterback, Lamar Jackson. Sean Payton is an offensive guru. I figured they could use someone like Lamar Jackson, have him learn behind someone like Drew Brees, and kind of just slide him in there. But you can't really argue with them. I mean, last year they hit a home run. I mean, more like a grand slam with their draft last year when they got Ramczyk and they got Kamara, and Lattimore, defensive rookie of the year. So anything they do kind of turns to gold. So good for them. They got a pass rusher, and as we saw with the Super Bowl, you can never have too many pass rushers. I mean, I'm sure nobody's gonna want him and the other people that they have on the defensive line there. It's gonna be good for them.
It's gonna be a good line. Then we had Arizona picking here. No, sorry.
No, the Raiders.
The Raiders picked here. They picked up offensive lineman Colton Miller from UCLA to give, Derek Carr some more help. Maybe open up some more lanes for Marshawn Lynch.
Well, and they also they also picked up the other running back from Tampa Bay, Doug Martin. Doug Martin's there now too. Right. So if you listen to anything that the Raiders have been trying to do, they've been harping on that they're going to turn it into old Smash Mouth football.
Which I don't know if it's going to work nowadays. You do have the quarterback where you can throw it around the field. Derek Carr is proven that he can.
Yeah, he can sling the rock.
He can sling
Hopefully,
the rock.
Amari Cooper can kind of regressed last year. I don't know if it was a mental thing with him. I mean, everybody knows he's got all the talent in the world. Right. So hopefully he has a bounce back year from them. And then your Bills.
My Bills moved up again. They traded with Baltimore. All they gave up really was the 65th overall pick, which honestly I'm not mad at. We needed a linebacker. They picked up Tremont Edmonds from Virginia Tech.
Yep, Virginia Tech.
Really good linebacker in college.
Killed the combine.
Killed it in the combine.
He was
great pickup for the Bills. That's one of their spots of weakness where they needed to shore up that defensive front there. And then at 17, we had the Chargers stay put, and
Talk about hitting a home run with that one.
This was a tremendous pickup by them. This only improves their defense. You get Derwin James, which I'm not happy about these commentators putting him in as the second coming of Sean Taylor, the GOAT. You know,
Gone too soon.
my boy from the U. But that's a home run there. That is tremendous pickup there by the Chargers. To now you've got heavy hitters on that line.
Yeah, with Ingram,
got
Bosa. Yeah.
And then now you add this truck in the back end.
Yeah, he's
And then now we just had the Packers move back up from 27, where they traded with the Saints, to pick up Javari Alexander,
Yep.
cornerback
Out of Louisville.
out of Louisville. It's a good pickup for them because we all know they can put up points in bunches, but they can't stop anybody.
Yeah, I mean their secondary has been a big issue for them for a while now. I mean, for the past couple years, it's kind of just been, can Rodgers outsling or outgun the other offense, his opposition? So they're finally trying to solidify that back end, and Alexander, from what I watched on film and from what all the reports were saying, he's definitely has the potential to be a lockdown corner,
Right.
which is something they desperately need.
it. All right, so now a couple more picks are in. We have Dallas at 19. Surprised us. I thought definitely Calvin Ridley. They lost Dez. They needed another receiver to give some more weapons to Dak. But they went linebacker with some injury history
yeah,
there.
to say the least. All their linebackers seem to at one point or another end up on the IR. So they went with Vander Esch out of Boise State.
Which, solid linebacker.
Yeah.
Fourth ranked linebacker in the class.
I mean, the thing with him is he really only had 1 year of production. Before that, you know, he wasn't a starter or anything like that. So he had 1 year of great film, and he killed the combine, and he's 6'4", which always helps. He's a fluid athlete, so they're hoping that with him, Sean Lee, and Jalen Smith, they can put together a good linebacking core.
Already promising championships.
Yeah, you know. Yeah, listen,
It's a lot.
they put him on the spot, though. What else was he supposed to say?
That's true.
You know?
Be very pumped to be a Cowboy. Then we had number 20, the ushering in of the Matt Patricia era
And he went with a center.
with the center.
The center from Arkansas. I actually read up on him a few days ago, and they said if it wasn't for injuries, they could have seen him as a top 10 to 15 pick. So with that being said, Patricia comes obviously from Bill Belichick and the New England Patriot way, so I'm not going to question that he knows what he's doing. It's funny because we actually went back-to-back centers because the very next pick, the Cincinnati Bengals, went after Billy Price from Ohio State University.
Another center, which, you know, Cincinnati needed to fortify that line. They let go of Whitworth.
Yeah, they lost a lot.
You know, it's a problem for them, and they're addressing it.
Listen, as long as they have Mr. Andy Dalton back there playing quarterback, I'm not a fan. So.
Hey, I was a fan of Andy Dalton at the end of the season.
Yeah.
Thank you,
okay.
Andy Dalton,
All
for
right.
letting us get into the playoffs.
Mr. Buffalo over here. How'd that work out for you?
Well, we're not talking about that.
Oh, okay, that's okay. Josh Allen.
We're
Josh Allen's time.
going to skip ahead
I
to
feel
the
you.
next pick. We had another trade for the 22nd pick. The Ravens traded it with Tennessee.
Yeah, well, Tennessee ended up making the pick. Yeah.
Yes.
So Tennessee ended up getting Rashaan Evans, the linebacker, again out of Alabama.
Yep.
I feel like every year, you know, you can pencil in at least 4 or 5 Alabama starters to go within the first 2 rounds on that defense.
Right.
They had him ranked ahead of Vander Esch, so it was a little bit of a surprise. You heard them on the draft. Specials talking about Dallas possibly going after Evans, so he falls a couple spots later in the draft to the Tennessee Titans, and they have Arakpo, and they've built a good defense. And then we got the New England Patriots, who is a team I know you're very fond of, love to talk about.
Can't stand the Patriots.
So go ahead and tell me what the Patriots did.
I can't stand them, but I will say that I respect them. You can't be this good for this long without knowing what you're doing. Tom Brady hate his guts when he plays against us, but you got to give it up to him. He is the GOAT.
Does that sting?
It stings because also I'm a Peyton Manning guy. I was more of a Peyton fan than Brady, so it stings a little more. So they went guard/tackle Isaiah Wynn out of Georgia, kind of replacing a little bit Nate Soldier, and now we just had
our first wide receiver off the board.
First wide receiver off the board at 24,
which is pretty crazy considering that the consensus top wide receiver throughout the whole process was Ridley out of Alabama,
and he's still out there.
And he's still out there. And there was a couple points in the draft that I thought he would get picked up, but they took Miller.
DJ Moore.
Yeah, they took DJ Miller. Carolina needs the wide receivers. They just made a trade this offseason for Torrey Smith. So they have Torrey Smith there, but they're still trying to replace Kelvin Benjamin, who got traded last year, as you well know.
Came to Buffalo.
So DJ Moore, very explosive athlete, and I'm very curious to see with him, Cam Newton, how they gel, and another offseason where they can get Samuels involved. I know he had an injury-plagued rookie season,
Right.
but
they'll get McCarthy more involved now
yeah.
as well.
McCaffrey,
Yeah,
McCarthy sings country, but that's
Sorry,
okay. We'll get there.
McCaffrey, getting him more involved. He doesn't have to share. Carries with Jay Stewart, who went up to New York.
Yeah.
He'll be sharing carries with Saquon Barkley now. So it's gonna be.
It's gonna be interesting.
It's
I mean,
gonna
I
be
haven't seen a draft where the wide receiver. I mean, there was just no run on wide receivers at all. The first wide receiver just went off the board at 24, and usually, that's whenever you have a star wide receiver, they're going in the top 10 easy.
Top 10, yeah.
Yeah. So with the quarterbacks moving, there's been a lot of defensive backs drafted, and it's kind of played out how they were reporting it was going to be a heavy defensive draft along with the quarterbacks. I'm interested to see with these few late first-round picks if anyone tries to jump back into the first round and maybe land Lamar Jackson. We'll see what.
Right, Lamar Jackson, you got Mason Rudolph still out there.
Yeah, Mason Rudolph,
Calvin
and
Ridley,
remember.
will he go in the first round? Will he drop to the end? We also had a trade here late in the first round. We had Martavius Bryant getting traded to Oakland for Oakland's third round pick that they got from trading down with Arizona.
Yeah,
so it's kind of a gimme. They got him for free, basically, kind of, if you look at it that way.
The only thing that concerns me with that, I mean, everybody knows he's talented, but he complained about not getting his touches in Pittsburgh's offense. I mean, with Juju Smith-Schuster, obviously Antonio Brown, business is booming. You got Le'Veon Bell. There's a lot of mouths to feed. He's going to an Oakland team where they still have a lot of mouths to feed there as well. So I don't know if he's gonna get the amount of touches that he's looking for. When you got someone like Nelson there with him as well, who just came in, I'm sure they're gonna try and acclimate
Cooper,
him.
Lynch, Doug Martin. You got to spread that rock around.
Definitely, and
So.
it sounds like they're gonna focus on being a run-first team. So we'll see how it plays out. But he's definitely got all the talent in the world when he's laying off the ganj.
Yeah.
And he can actually play. He produces, but
He can definitely hold his own out there. So, pick number 25.
wait. Pick number 24. We still got to go over DJ Moore.
Well, we did get TJ Moore a little bit. right when he came
Yeah, but
out.
I called him Miller, so now I'm calling him Moore. So now we're going to go over DJ Moore.
We'll
Anyway.
go over DJ Moore. Good
DJ
pickup.
Moore. Yes, good pickup.
For Carolina. So solid receiver for
Cam Newton to work
Cam
with.
Newton.
And then the Ravens went out and got a tight end, Hayden Hurst, out of South Carolina. Big pickup for them.
They needed a tight end. That was Baltimore's pick, I believe.
Yeah, that was Baltimore's pick.
So Baltimore came out with a tight end. Ozzie Newsome's final pick is GM. So we thought it was his final first round pick as GM.
Yeah, and then we get to that.
We'll get to that later.
It's still.
Then we have the Atlanta Falcons at 26, combining another Alabama wide receiver.
Yep. They
Julio
went out and
Jones. We had Calvin Ridley. A little bit of a run on wide receivers there.
Yeah, it was a little late, but the run was to be expected. I think once Carolina went and took DJ Moore, other teams were probably,
It's like a fantasy draft.
Yeah, exactly.
You get one guy picks a kicker first round, which no one else is going to do. But then you get somebody who goes and takes a running back, and then everybody, 2-3 picks after, it's all running backs. So
yeah, for sure.
It's to be expected.
For sure. And then the 27th pick, which was, I thought, a really interesting pick by Seattle, they went and they took Rashad Penny, the running back out of San Diego State, who just came off of a 2,000-plus yard season. If you've been following San Diego State at all, you know that their running backs are notorious for this the past couple years. Donnell Pumphrey, which was drafted in the fourth round, last year. He was another back who came out a little undersized. Rashad Penny is definitely much bigger than him, but he was another one that came out and had 2,000 yards. So they're beginning to turn out some really quality running backs for the NFL. I'm surprised they took him that high, because
it didn't make sense for them to take him there. I mean, you have so many other holes. Your defense is completely depleted now with the Legion of Boom kind of.
Yeah, you don't know if Cliff Avril's coming back neither. Yeah.
Cam Chancellor's not sure. Earl Thomas wants to go to Dallas. Sherman's gone.
No, he said he doesn't want to now.
He doesn't want to now, but
he went into the locker room and said something different. But
you got guys like Willie Hernandez still out there from UTEP, and you pass on a guard who can open up the run game, but let's not protect Russell Wilson.
If it's any consolation prize, I love watching him play when he's under duress, because he's Houdini back there. He does things that no other quarterback can do.
Can't do, right?
Yeah, so I'm kind of happy he doesn't have a clean pocket, just so we can see some of those explosive plays that he's infamous for now. And then the next pick, which was made by the Pittsburgh Steelers, they went and they got a safety from Virginia Tech.
Right, they got the safety there. A nice little draft moment, where you had, Ryan Shazier walk out. It was a good moment. We're all concerned for Shazier's, health. We'd like to see him recover, but we don't want to see him back in the NFL. Great talent, but your health's more important.
Yeah, I mean, it was a blessing to see him actually walk across the stage, because there was a time where we didn't know if he was going to walk again, and it was really nice to see him and his wife get out there with the commissioner and be able to announce the pick. And he might never play again. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. But I like that Pittsburgh is still keeping him part of the family.
Right.
He's not going to lose that team atmosphere just because he's not on the field.
Right, and they got Terrell Edmonds, the safety out of Virginia Tech, which is the first set of brothers that we've seen drafted in the first round together.
Yep.
So that's kind of a big, this historical draft with, 5 quarterbacks getting taken in the first round.
Yeah.
Running backs going off the board. First set of brothers. Like it's kind of a cool thing to see, history setting draft right here.
Yeah, definitely. And now you look with how it used to be with the draft. If you were moving up to get a quarterback at first overall, you had to give him $60 million guaranteed.
Right.
I think Stafford from the Lions was the last one to really cash in on that. And so now that they already have that rookie pay scale set in stone, teams are more willing to gamble. And I think as fans and teams, it creates a lot more buzz and a lot more excitement. I don't remember drafts having this many trades. I mean, you have teams trading down and then trading up twice, and a whole lot of movement, which I think brings a lot of excitement to the draft. And then
so then let's bang these last 3 picks out. Taven Brighton, defensive tackle from Florida.
Yeah.
Big pickup to give more depth to that.
Like Saxonville needs any more help.
Defense.
If there's anybody who can learn to, he's gonna have Calais Campbell there to teach him. And they said it. And if you watch certain games, you'll see it. He's a top 10 pick sometimes, and then other times he kind of gets lost in the shuffle. But if you're around greatness, like he's going to be, especially on that defensive line, I think
they're not going to let you slide.
Yeah, they're going to bring out the best of him, and he's got all the tools to be successful. So I definitely like what Jacksonville is doing there.
We have Mike Hughes, quarterback from Central Florida, community college, and
a little bit of a checkered past, little bit of trouble, but they have a really stout secondary with Xavier Rhodes, Sandejo, and I think it's important for them to go defense because they just gave so much money to Kirk Cousins, and with all these, yeah, you know how it is. Everybody starts seeing that you drafted well. I know they just gave Kendricks, their linebacker. They locked him up, which I think was an important piece for them. But they still have a lot of important pieces on defense, and you're never going to be able to keep them all. That's just the nature of when you pay that quarterback top shelf money. You're gonna be hurting in other areas. You see it with the Ravens, even though they're trying to stock up now. When they gave Flacco that big money after the Super Bowl, Russell Wilson, same case. So they're just trying to strike while the iron's hot with Kirk Cousins. And then we have the New England Patriots.
Bill Belichick strikes again.
And they go after Sony Michel.
We both thought, again, Joey wrote it in pen.
I'm sorry.
He's jinxed them twice in this draft.
I did it twice. Happy ending, though.
Happy ending. We'll get to that. But Sony Michel, a little bit of a knee injury history, some red flags there. But the kid's got great talent, crazy speed. So
it's funny. He's one of those running backs. He actually reminds me of a running back that's on your team now, LaShawn McCoy. He might not run the fastest 40. His was in the 4.5s, but when you watch him on the field, he looks like a 4.4, 4.3 guy out there, and he's making tons of people miss. I mean, you look at a defense like Alabama, who's got, just look at this draft. They've got first and second round talent up and down the field. And so when I see a player that has success against a defense like that, that to me is all the tape you really need to see, a la Deshaun Watson last year. Everybody was doubting his abilities, saying that they don't know if he's going to be able to perform at the NFL level. Well, if you turned on the tape from the 2 national championships games, even though he lost one and won one, he almost had 700-plus yards. If you combine the 2 games, he shredded them both times. So when his number was called in Houston, that offense looked completely different. They went out against still the Legion of Boom and hung 30-plus on them. Right. They were tossing the rock all over the place.
That game brings up some sad memories.
I appreciate that fantasy football bet.
I lost a fantasy football bet to Joey. I'm still paying it off.
You're lucky you didn't have to wear the Eagles jersey tonight, but I let it slide.
I had to wear a Wentz jersey for the rest of the year at work. So
now you can get an Allen jersey. So
no, I'm good. And then final pick, your Eagles. Yeah. They stepped up and made. No, they didn't. They traded the pick to Baltimore.
They did, and
finally, because you didn't write it in pen.
I didn't write it in pen. I didn't, and Lamar Jackson went off the board, which the Ravens definitely need a successor to Joe Flacco.
Correct.
And on the other end, I'm kind of bummed out. I think every fan is when the initial, when you see players on the board like Will Hernandez and Geis, the running back from LSU, and Kirk, the wide receiver from Texas A&M, Landry, the defensive end from Boston College. You see all those players on the board, and you just imagine them contributing to your team. Yeah. So, everyone gets excited for their pick, and then when it gets traded away and sat here for 4 hours, you know.
All right, so with the Eagles trading their last pick, that finishes up the 2018 first round of the NFL Draft. Thank you, Joey, for being the first live guest on the Sports Frenzy podcast down here in the Bear Cave Studios. Find us on Facebook at The Sports Frenzy Podcast. Find us on Instagram under The Sports Frenzy Podcast. Give Joey a follow. Find us, comment, leave us a message. Let us know what you want to hear, what you think. And thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. I had a blast, and hopefully round 1 next year we can do the same thing.
Definitely. We'll keep it going. And we'll see you guys later.